corporate social responsibility on creating shared value for its host communities. Monipilo partners its host communities in participatory development, working with them and where appropriate with their state government and other stakeholders in identifying, planning, costing, monitoring, and implementing sustainable development projects that improves their lives and promotes the socio-economic development of their people through educational development, health and social welfare, skill acquisition, economic empowerment, sustainable development projects, and microcredit schemes. In 2005, Dr. Mrs. Seinye Obi Lulu Briggs became the company's executive vice chairman. Following the passing of her husband, the founder and chairman of Monipula Petroleum Development Limited, High Chief Dr. Obi Lulu Briggs, she assumed the position of chairman of the company in 2019 and has continued to steer its growth and success. Monipula's vision is to serve as a reference for excellence in the oil and gas industry. This vision remains its compass, steering the company consistently towards attaining heights of excellence in its operations in line with global best practices.
For over 6 decades, Bank of Industry has been here, driving Nigeria's industrial development through financial and business support services to micro enterprises, small and medium enterprises, and large enterprises across Nigeria. Leveraging on strategic partnerships, we provide equipment financing, working capital, and support to enterprises in key sectors of Nigeria's economy, including youth and women-led enterprises. Whatever your business needs, starting up, expansion, diversification, modernization, or rehabilitation, we'll be here always to support you. Bank of Industry, transforming Nigeria's industrial sector.
Monipolo Limited is a Nigerian independent and wholly indigenous exploration and production company founded in 1992 by High Chief Dr. O.B. Lulubriggs, OON, DSSRS, DCF. Monipolo's mission is to become a beacon of hope to succeeding generations of indigenous industries through continuously creating value for its stakeholders. With the core values of excellence, integrity, team spirit, and social responsibility, Monipolo upholds an uncompromising stance on being in full compliance with standards of global industry, regulatory, and fiscal authorities. On March 7, 1999, after years of exploration and appraisal, Monipolo struck first oil, thus signaling to the exploration and production industry at large that the company was truly open for business and ready to be a contender in the industry. Since then, growth has come the company's way. From operating its then sole asset, OML 114, it has since acquired 3 more assets, OPL 231, OPL 234, and OPL 239. In 2018, it's completed the drilling of 3 exploratory wells in OPL 231. Monipolo's portfolio of assets include producing fields, development, and exploration prospects located in both offshore and onshore Nigeria, which enhance production, cash flow, and reserve replacement potential. Although one of Nigeria's privately owned indigenous oil and gas E&P companies, Monipolo adheres strictly to the best global standards of operation, with benchmarks similar to those obtainable in the IOCs. Inspired by the renowned philanthropy of its founder, High Chief Dr. O.B. Lulubriggs, the thrust of Monipolo's corporate social responsibility efforts is on creating shared value for its host communities. Monipolo partners its host communities in participatory development, working with them and where appropriate with their state government and other stakeholders in identifying, planning, costing, monitoring, and implementing sustainable development projects that improves their lives and promotes the socio-economic development of their people through educational development, health and social welfare, skill acquisition, economic empowerment, sustainable development projects, and microcredit schemes. In 2005, Dr. Mrs. Senye Obi Lulubriggs became the company's executive vice chairman. Following the passing of her husband, the founder and chairman of Monipolo Petroleum Development Limited, High Chief Dr. O.B. Lulubriggs, she assumed the position of chairman of the company in 2019 and has continued to steer its growth and success. Monipolo's vision is to serve as a reference for excellence in the oil and gas industry. This vision remains its compass, steering the company consistently towards attaining heights of excellence in its operations in line with global best practices.
President and Chairman of the Governing Council, distinguished members of the Governing Council, past presidents of IOD Nigeria here present, members of the Executive Committee, esteemed members of the Institute, management and staff of IOD Nigeria here present, ladies and gentlemen. It is with a great pleasure that I welcome us all to the 2021 Fellows Investiture of IOD Nigeria, holding today, 14th October 2021. This event is holding both virtually and physically, so I want to welcome everyone who attended this event here at the Secretariat and also via the online platform. To begin this event on the right note, I would like to request that we all rise for the national anthem. Please, let's take a seat. Madam President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome us all once again to today's event. Today, we'll be elevating some of our deserving members to the rank of Fellow of the Institute of Directors, Nigeria. These are members who are proficient and experienced industry leaders, both in the public and private sectors. They have contributed immensely to the growth of IOD Nigeria, to their various organizations, and of course to the nation as a whole. They have made giant and impressive strides in their various spheres of influence. And so in IOD Nigeria, we are proud to call them our own and to have contributed in one way or the other to their success as directors in their various organizations. All 31 of them attended this event virtually in keeping to the safety guidelines of these times. So I want to say congratulations to you, all 31 members of IOD Nigeria who have been elevated to the rank of Fellow today. Congratulations. Without taking more of a time, okay, let's clap for them. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Without taking more of a time, I would like to use this the next few moments, to recognize the presence of certain people that are here with us today at this occasion. I would like to start with the President and the Chairman of the Governing Council of IOD Nigeria, Dr. Ije Jidema, FIOD. You're welcome, ma'am. We also have here with us today the first Vice President of the Institute, Alhaji Tijani Mborodo, FIOD. You're welcome, sir. Also here with us today is the Honorary Treasurer of FIOD Nigeria, Prince Austin Enajemo Isire, FIOD. You're welcome, sir. We also have with us in attendance physically here today, the Chairman of the Fellows and Awards Committee of FIOD Nigeria, Architect Thomas C. Awago, DFIOD. You're welcome, sir. And to everyone that are online, attending virtually, we want to say thank you for gracing us with your presence. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Without further ado, I'll be calling on the Chairman of the Fellows and Awards Committee of FIOD Nigeria, who gave the required direction and leadership to ensure that today's event is a success. Please join me in giving a rousing welcome to Architect Thomas C. Awago, DFIOD, as he comes to the podium. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I start by recognizing our dear President, Dr. Mrs. Ijejidemma, FIOD, and member of the Governing Council of the Institute of Directors, Nigeria, members of the Executive Committee of IOD Nigeria physically and virtually present, our distinguished guest speaker for this occasion, Mr. Olabode Augusto, MIOD, founder managing director of Augusto & Co. Limited, esteemed fellows and members of the Institute here present, distinguished honorees, gentlemen of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. I'm delighted to welcome all of you to the 21st edition of the annual Fellows Investiture. I thank you most sincerely for making the time to be part of this special event. As you are all aware, the Fellows Investiture is an occasion where the Institute celebrates with fanfare the cream of its members. I wish to use this opportunity to appreciate the members of the Fellows and Awards Committee for the hard work, dedication, and commitment in making this event come true. It is important to note that we will not be here today for this important event without your sterling support and unqualified efforts you have all put in through the process of planning and implementation. Your painstaking reviews, guidance, and suggestions combined immensely to the success of hosting of today's Fellows Investiture. I thank you all most sincerely. May we give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Let me also extend, on behalf of the Fellows and Awards Committee, my deep appreciation to our brand new President and Chairman of the Governing Council, Dr. Mrs. Ijejidemma. Your calls at any time of the night, asking questions, making suggestions, and guiding all through also helped in making this event a success. Can we give her a lot of applause? It shows our enthusiasm to make sure that every event of the Institute is a success. I also want to appreciate the members of the Governing Council and the management and staff of the Secretariat for their unwavering support given to the committee throughout the process of the assignment, the success of which has culminated in today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, it gladdens my heart to note that today the Institute is honoring members who have proudly represented the Institute in all their business and personal endeavor without blemish. These members have flown the flag of the Institute with integrity and honor and can stand tall in Nigeria's corporate space anywhere and anytime. So we are very deliberate in choosing the persons or the members for today's award. We are very proud to showcase them, and the honor today is to encourage them to do even more and remain beacons of light for other members and the Nigerian corporate environment. I therefore wish to congratulate all the new fellows and urge them to continue to abide by the Institute's Code of Ethics and related obligations and commitments as they continue to make utmost contribution to the growth and development of our great institute in particular and the country in general. Let me also at this juncture acknowledge and welcome into our midst our distinguished guest speaker, Mr. Olabode Augusto, MIOD, a chartered accountant with decades of rich industry experience, founder and managing director of Nigeria's first and leading indigenous credit rating agency, Augusto & Co. He has also served briefly in the public service. We are indeed excited to have him here to speak to us on the theme, stimulating Nigeria's economic growth and development, lessons and opportunities from recent challenges. I have no doubt that the theme of this event is apt and auspicious, especially when weighed against the current global pandemic facing all nations of the world. I thank Mr. Augusto for acceding to our request to be our guest speaker and look forward to a rewarding session with him. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Fellows and Awards Committee, I wish to welcome you all to this event and wish us all an enlightening and enriching time together. I thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for that welcome address. Before we go on at this event, I would like to quickly recognize the presence of our guest speaker, Mr. Olabode Augusto, MIOD, MFR, who is joining us virtually at this event. I would also like to apologize for forgetting to recognize the presence of the DG CEO of IOD Nigeria earlier, in the person of Mr. Bamidele Halimi, MIOD. You're welcome, sir. Also in attendance online, we have Dr. Christopher Kolade, DFIOD. You are highly welcome, sir. I would also like to recognize the presence of Alhaji Ahmed Har Mohammed, DFIOD, who is also joining us online. Thank you so much for coming, sir. Also here physically with us at this event today is Mr. Enote, who is the chairman of the PH branch of IOD Nigeria. Mr. Enote, FIOD, you are welcome, sir. Thank you for coming. Moving on, the next item on the program is the speech by the President and Chairman of the Governing Council of IOD Nigeria. So join me in welcoming Dr. Mrs. Ije Chidema, FIOD, to the podium.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's very exciting to be here this morning. having our members online and most of our office holders here with us in the wake of this COVID-19 pandemic. I was also excited to hear that we have Dr. Christopher Collade in our midst online. Welcome, sir. Our distinguished guest speaker at this event, Mr. Olabode Augusto, founder and founder of Augusto & Co., the leading credit rating agency in Nigeria. Past presidents and members of the Governing Council, members of the Executive Committee here present, fellows and members of the Institute, distinguished fellowship honorees, distinguished guests, associates, and sponsors, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to join the chairman and members of the Fellows and Awards Committee to welcome you all to the 2021 edition of our Fellows Investiture. I'm particularly pleased to note that our Committee on Fellows and Awards has been able to sustain the IOD annual tradition by hosting this edition of the Fellows Investiture today, despite obvious challenges in Nigeria, in the Nigerian environment, including the global pandemic that we all face. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this annual event is part of our Institute's tradition, and it is an occasion during which we honor our members for their commitment and contributions to the growth and development of our great institute in particular and our country generally. At such occasions, the Institute confers fellowship status annually on deserving members who have meritoriously distinguished themselves in the service of the Institute in various capacities, while making notable contributions to the success stories of their respective companies and the Nigerian business community. Let me also put on record that we are here to witness today the outcome of the hard work of the Fellows and Awards Committee, ably chaired by distinguished fellow and past president of the Institute, Thomas Awagodi FIOD. Permit me, therefore, to convey the appreciation of the Governing Council of the Institute to the chairman and members of the Fellows and Awards Committee for their commitment and hard work, which has culminated in today's event. Thank you very much for your steadfastness. For the new fellows or awardees, while I heartily congratulate you and share in your joy at this epoch-making event and moment, I will not fail to remind you that the esteemed status you have attained today in our cherished institute comes with a lot of honor, respect, demand, and of course, challenges. I am, however, confident that with your pedigrees and proven track record of excellent performance, you will not let the Institute down in the daily conduct of your corporate and private lives. I congratulate you and welcome you to the fold of the esteemed membership category of the Institute of Directors, Nigeria. I charge you all to remain steadfast and focused in the pursuit of issues that will bring about positive growth and development in IOD Nigeria. We look forward to welcoming your suggestions and inputs. We always want to be better and better, so our doors are open. The Institute is poised to continue to engage with the government on your behalf, and we are positive that with God on our side, this administration will see that we deliver tangible dividends and benefits to our members. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to inform you that a few years ago, the Governing Council deemed it fit to review the eligibility criteria for elections of council members to ensure that only fellows of the Institute are eligible to contest election into the Governing Council. What this means is that The Institute expects so much from its fellows. These are individuals who are expected to be experienced members of the Institute, or really experienced members of the Institute, who understand the mandate, vision, and mission of the Institute, and are readily committed and available to support the Institute in ensuring successful delivery on these mandates. The role of fellows of the Institute in the propagation of our ideals is unquantifiable. And unless you all, as leaders, exhibit the collective will required for the progress of the Institute, it will be difficult to galvanize the support from other members. So fellows cadre is a very, very strategic cadre. I therefore expect that fellows of the Institute will lead the way in our advocacy train by being the ambassadors of the Institute in all their professional endeavors. I also expect you all to proudly wear the golden lapel pin of the Institute at all times and to all places, so that others can see you as representatives of our great Institute. I implore both existing and new fellows to be alive to their duties and responsibilities by being great mascots of our Institute and wear the badge of honor with a consciousness that we look up to you as the custodians of our heritage. Ladies and gentlemen, this event, apart from being an avenue to honor our best, our brightest and best, our Fellows Investiture is also an advocacy forum endorsed by the Council for creating awareness of government policies and programs, and it has continued to attract top government officials and private sector practitioners as guest speakers. Today, we are privileged to have in our midst Mr. Olabode Augusto, MIOD, the founder of Nigeria's leading and first credit rating agency, licensed by SEC, Augusta & Co. Let's give him a rounding applause as a pioneer in this sector. Bode, as we fondly call him at PW alumni, I mean Pricewaterhouse alumni, is a chartered accountant with over 3 decades of experience in both private and public sector. He was a partner in the Pricewaterhouse, now PwC, and in other private organizations he has worked for. He served as the Director General and Advisor, Budget Matters, to President Obasanjo during his second term in office. We are indeed excited to have him here to speak to us on the theme, Stimulating Nigeria's Economic Growth and Development, Lessons and Opportunities from Recent Challenges. And indeed, whenever we find them, the people that have had the handshake between private sector and public sector in Nigeria, you know, you have a lot to learn from them. On behalf of our governing council, fellows and members of our institute, and our guests at this event, I am pleased to welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Olabode Augusto, to this great occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, the outbreak of the COVID-19 has posed great challenges in the Nigerian economy and has had far-reaching consequences beyond the spread of the disease. Added to this is the fact that Nigeria's economic potential is constrained by many structural issues, which include inadequate infrastructure, tariff and non-tariff barriers to trade, obstacles to investment, lack of confidence in currency, and limited foreign exchange capacity. Only a sustained and broad economic growth and poverty reduction are critical to the economic stability of our nation. It is in the light of this that we have deemed it necessary to select this theme for this event, and it will aid us as directors and the government, even as we continue to make efforts to navigate our country and businesses through the many challenges that we face. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is also important to note that IOD Nigeria has continued to demonstrate greater concern and commitment to work with all the stakeholders in order to engender business-friendly environment for robust economic growth. More specifically, we have continued to canvass for good corporate governance of all private and public sector organizations in the country. And we continue to partner with all businesses and thought leaders from both public and private sectors to push forward innovative ideas for our collective benefits. While I felicitate with our new fellows today, I urge all our members, both old and new, to continue to uphold good corporate governance principles and be guided by the ethics, the code of ethics of the Institute at all levels in their workplaces and in their business affairs. Finally, I wish to express my special gratitude to all the past presidents of our great institutes, the members of the Governing Council and Executive Committee for their untiring efforts and commitments. And like I said, the chairman deserves our gratitude, the chairman of the Fellows and Awards Committee. So I thank you all for being here and wish you all an exciting time today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Madam President Ma, for that speech. And I want to tell members who have been conferred, who have been elevated to the rank of fellows today, that the President has just reminded us that we are being called to higher responsibilities. We are now bearers of higher responsibilities in HIOD Nigeria and in various organizations and to the nation as a whole. We know we have always contributed to the growth and development of HIOD Nigeria. We are charged to continue to do so. And I know we can only continue to keep the flag of HIOD Nigeria flying high. Thank you so much. Before we move on to this event, I would like to use this opportunity to recognize the presence of our immediate past president, who is physically here with us at the Secretariat, attended this event. Please join me in welcoming Chief Chris O. Okonowo, DFIOD. You're highly welcome, sir. Thank you so much for coming, sir. We have come to the point where we are going to listen to the chief speaker, the guest speaker of today's event, Mr. Olabode Augusto, MIOD, MFR, who is going to talk to us on the theme of this Fellows Investiture, which is stimulating Nigeria's economic growth and development, lessons and opportunities from recent challenges. Before I call on Mr. Olabode Augusto, I would like to quickly recognize who he is. We have it in the brochure, but I would like to quickly go over to introduce him to us. Mr. Olabode Augusto is an accountant. He's a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. He has over 40 years work experience in various organizations, which includes PwC, Citibank. Is the founder of Augusto & Co. Limited, which is the first credit rating agency licensed by the SEC in Nigeria. He's been a non-executive director of organizations such as Shell and other organizations. Currently, is an independent researcher and consultant with interests covering economics, politics, and banking of the key countries in sub-Saharan Africa. He serves as a non-executive director on the boards of Augusto & Co. Limited, GT Bank Limited, and Grand Series Limited. He is also a member of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We are certain that Mr. Augusto is going to do justice to this topic. We look forward to a very productive and stimulating time. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Olabode Augusto as he talks on the 2021 Fellows Investiture theme. Thank you so much, sir.
Good morning. Can you hear me, first of all? Good morning. Please, I just want to confirm that you can hear me before I go on.
I can hear you from my own end.
Yes, as long as somebody can confirm, then I'll be fine. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah. The President and Chairman of the Governing Council, members of the Governing Council, past presidents, existing fellows and the incoming fellows, members of the IOD, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and thank you very much for inviting me to come and speak today. I accepted to come and speak because I believe it's an opportunity for me to serve an institute that I'm a member of. So I didn't want to miss that opportunity. So you don't need to say thank you to me too many times. But thank you very much for the kind words that you have also said about me and Augusto and Co. We will continue to strive to provide quality service to our nation. Then there are a few basic rules here today that will guide us. And we use it regularly when we do speak on difficult topics like economics. First of all, we're going to keep our language simple. Therefore, there will be no economic jargons that we will not explain. We're also going to use charts to explain things because we believe in the Chinese proverb that a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. We'll continually put things into context and we will use common sizes. So anytime I breach those rules, please stop me and ask me to explain any economic jargon or any breach of rules, please. So this topic before us today is about stimulating economic growth and development in Nigeria. And at the end of the day, we say that it is all about the people. So why do we want to stimulate economic growth? Why do we want development in our country? It is to ensure that our people prosper. So we must have different indicators for measuring the prosperity of the people. And we should focus on those things. Because whatever policies that we evolve, whatever things that we do, if they don't result in the prosperity of the people, then it's no good for us. So we're going to also talk about the lessons that we have learned or we ought to have learned from our recent past. And we're going to look forward in terms of opportunities. This topic is so big, is so broad. And what we have done is to just limit ourselves within the time that we have towards the key policy changes that we need to make in order to ensure that our people thrive. So the outline of our talk today is that first of all, we're going to digress and talk about the key prices in the economy. Then we're going to take a look at our economy, where we are today, and looking back a little bit. And we're going to focus on external sector, which is essentially about trade and investment. We're going to talk about money and banking, which is essentially about our banks helping our businesses to thrive, helping our households to thrive by lending money to them so that they can grow their productive capacity, so that they can employ more people. We're going to look at government as well, an ability of government to use the monies that they have to fulfill the purpose of government, to secure life and property, to support the poor and weak in society, to support the development of infrastructure and things like that. And we're going to pause and reflect and see whether, as of today, these three sectors are helping businesses and households to thrive. If the answer is no, what are the lessons that we ought to have learned, and what are the opportunities for change in order that we can begin to move in the right direction? So like I said, we're going to start by talking about inflation. And we're going to give a simple definition of inflation. And we're going to say that inflation is the rate at which the money that you have in your pocket loses purchasing power. So if we say the annual rate of inflation is 12%, it means that the money that you have in your pocket at the beginning of the year will lose 12% of its purchasing power by the end of the year. Therefore, a popular politician or a controversial politician, Mrs. Thatcher, described inflation as the unseen robber of those who have saved. We will all agree that indeed inflation robs us of purchasing power, but we can't really point to Mr. Inflation that we know who he is. So let's look at the inflation rates in Nigeria. It pops up and down like a yo-yo looking at the past 10 years. And we have seen a high point in 2017 of 16.5%. And we saw a low point of 8% in 2014. But if we look at an average, a 10-year average gives us 12%, 11.7%. If we take a 15-year average, we'll get roughly the same 12%. And if we take the 20-year average, we get roughly the same percent. Therefore, economists will say that the long-term rate of inflation in Nigeria is around about 12%, which means that on average, the Nigerian naira loses purchasing power at the rate of 12% per year. Then, when we compare this to other currencies of the world, we're focusing on currencies for the key economies of the world. And in the world, we typically benchmark against the United States dollars because the US dollar is the currency of international trade. From this chart, if we look at a 10-year average for the US, we'll see just under 2%. A 15-year or 20-year average will give us roughly the same number. What that tells us is that the rate of inflation in Nigeria is about 6 times that of the United States of America. That is, the Nigerian naira loses purchasing power 6 times faster than the United States dollars. Then, the next important price in any economy is the interest rate. Again, we look for a benchmark, and the benchmark is the rate at which the central government, that we call the federal government of Nigeria, will borrow its own currency called Nigerian naira. And the rate at which the federal government of Nigeria borrows naira, we typically call it a risk-free rate. Why do we call it a risk-free rate? The reason is simple, because legally, the federal government of Nigeria can print naira and use it to repay its loans. And what are these numbers historically? Historically, we've had, for the 1-year rate, 15% in 2015, 18% in 2020, rising to 21% in 2017. But more importantly, knowledgeable investors will always seek a return on their investment that is higher than the rate of inflation. Otherwise, they're going to lose purchasing power. And we're going to see here that up till 2019, the rate of interest, the 1-year rate of interest was higher than the annual inflation, which meant that during those years, the investors were earning positive returns in real terms. Then in 2020, something happened. On average, the 1-year yield was 3% last year, while inflation was 13%. The question that people will typically ask is that, has inflation dropped so much so that interest rates will come down to 3%? No. This year, we're looking at an average yield of about 8%. What does that tell us? It tells us that investors or savers are going to lose purchasing power by the difference between what they earn and the inflation rate. Then, let's look at the US dollar interest rates. US dollar interest rates. Here we are benchmarking against the United States government because they are the owners of the currency. And we're taking a long-term view. Let's look at a 10-year bond. Nigeria recently issued some bonds. At what rate did we issue 10-year? Somewhere between 6 and 7%. And historically, the rate at which Nigeria borrows 10-year dollars has been around about that 6-7% range, with the exception of 2020, when the average yield went up significantly. Yes, 2020 was the year of COVID-19, and there was a flight to safety. People were dumping emerging market bonds and running towards US treasuries. Therefore, US interest rates dropped while emerging market yields spiked. But that was an unusual event. So we'll see that on average, we borrow at somewhere between 6 and 7% most of the time. So then let's talk about the relationship between inflation and exchange rates. When we are comparing two currencies, the one with the higher long-term rate of inflation is always the weaker currency. And when we look at these charts that we put together from 2005 that we took as our base year, you'll see that every single year, the rate of inflation of the Nigerian naira was higher than the rate of inflation on the dollar, which means that the naira loses purchasing power faster than the dollar. Therefore, on average, the Nigerian currency should lose purchasing power by close to the difference in inflation. So what have we done on the next chart, which is a sort of model? We have modeled where exchange rates should be based on the difference in inflation, using 2005 as our base year. And every single year thereafter, we have depreciated the naira by the difference in inflation. That is the extent to which it lost purchasing power relative to the dollar. So what that model tells us is that by the end of this year, the United States dollars should be exchanging for naira at the rate of 529 naira, roughly around that 530 to 1. But people here will hasten to tell me that the number is maybe about 580 now. But we believe that is a classical case of the tail wagging the dog. So that's what exchange rates should be based on difference in inflation. What are the key takeaways from this little digression before we quickly close it? The first one is that inflation is the rate at which our currency loses purchasing power. The second one is that the long-term rate of inflation in Nigeria is 6 times that of the dollar. We benchmark against the dollar because the currency of international trade. Knowledgeable investors will want returns that will be higher than the rate of inflation. Therefore, inflation drives interest rates. Then, when you are comparing two currencies, the one with a higher rate of inflation is the weaker of two currencies, and is going to devalue in the long term by difference in inflation. This principle of a currency devaluing by close to the difference in inflation is somewhere where economists agree 100%. There is no "it depends" on this. So anybody that comes to promise us that naira will remain stable relative to the dollar without telling us how he or she is going to fix the difference in inflation is not going to deliver. So let's move away and look at our economy. Where we are, we look back a little bit and assess things, and then we'll talk about lessons that we ought to have learned and policy changes that we need to make in order to ensure that our people thrive. So we've been talking about inflation. What are the things that cause inflation? Economists say only 3 things cause inflation: when too much money in the circulation, when the cost of inputs are rising, cost of materials or general increase in labor, or when there's a huge gap between demand and supply. When the demand for food is so high and the supply for food is so little, the price will go up. So what is the root cause of inflation in Nigeria? First of all, money is certainly not the root cause of inflation in Nigeria, because the central bank of Nigeria is firmly in control of money supply through very high cash reserve requirements. Then, cost of inputs. Is it the root cause of inflation in Nigeria? Well, wages are not rising as fast as inflation anyway, therefore we cannot say wages are the cause of inflation. On the other hand, cost of some materials are rising, maybe because if they are imported items and the currency is weakening. But is that the root cause of inflation in Nigeria? We still don't think so. We think it's the demand and supply gap. The population is rising faster than output. Therefore, there's less and less to go around. For example, our population rises by 5 million human beings every year, the population of Liberia. Are we increasing the number of housing? Are we increasing the number of teachers, the number of classrooms commensurately? Not really. So we believe that the demand and supply gap, we are not productive as a nation. We're producing significantly below our potential output, which we'll talk about as we move forward. So, Nigeria, we also know that we are dependent on oil, not because we want to drink or eat the oil, but because we use the dollars that we earn from oil and gas exports to fuel our factories, to import raw materials, to import capital goods, because we just are dependent. And the incentive structure in our environment encourage this dependence on dollars. So this chart shows us that during the good days when oil prices were high, we were earning over 90 billion from exporting oil every year. And overall, this economy was receiving about $120 billion of inflows on the trade side every year. When oil prices dropped, this average collapsed to somewhere between 70 and 80, which essentially tells us that there's a $40 to $50 billion drop in dollar supply. The other side of the equation on the trade and investment side is that has investment flows commensurate with that level come in to plug the hole? No, nothing, not much has come in on the net investment side. So this economy is short of dollars, period. Is this going to change materially over the next few years? Or we have now in a different oil market so that the revenues that we're going to earn from oil has dipped and is going to remain low for some time. When we look at the debt levels, the foreign currency debts of Nigeria, it's rising and is rising rapidly. It was just $6 billion a decade ago. We closed last year at 33 billion. But relative to our dollar revenues, it's not very big. So we're still reasonably comfortable in terms of our foreign currency debts. We need only 6 months of dollar revenues to repay our foreign currency debts. Kenya needs 32 months. Ghana needs just under a year. So we're much better than this peer group looking at it this way. So how should we manage our foreign exchange, our exchange rate, I beg your pardon, going forward? There are 3 principal ways that countries do it. 1, they peg to the dollar. 2, they float. 3, they use a crawling peg. Who are the people that peg? People who have abundant dollars. And what is the true test of whether a peg can be successful? A peg, the true test is that the central bank the central bank must be able to sell dollars to everybody who wants to buy dollar at that rate. Today, the exchange rate is maybe 400, 420 to 1. Can this central bank sell dollars to everybody that wants to buy dollars at that rate? The answer is no. So the peg cannot work. Who are the people who float? The people who float are generally people who have been able to tame inflation. At 6 times US dollar inflation, we have not tamed inflation. So what is left for us is a crawling peg. And what does this mean? One whereby we allow our currency to find a fair level, and then we devalue our currency or depreciate our currency or even appreciate it by the difference in inflation. But our own inflation is higher than dollar inflation, so it's certainly a depreciation. And that is what we believe that we should use. Example of a country that uses a crawling peg reasonably well is Ghana. They depreciate their currency by close to the difference in inflation. 8-10% a year is currency depreciation. You can take it to the bank. So let's look at nominal interest rates. Yeah. Again, we've spoken about this, but the point I want to emphasize here is that when you have a situation where nominal interest rates are significantly lower than the rate of inflation, then there is a problem. It means that we're robbing savers. Savers are paying the price. And They are knowledgeable people by and large. They will look for a good store of value for their money. And that is why we're seeing pent-up speculative demand for dollars. People can see very clearly that the United States dollar is a better store of currency. So if I cannot earn a return that will cover inflation in Naira terms, then let me change my money to dollars and sit on it. What we also see around our banking sector today, those of us who have been working for donkey years will agree with me that the cash reserve requirement in the banking sector is typically around about 5 to 10% of deposits, the Naira deposit of banks. We now have a situation where the mandatory deposits, cash reserves, they're close to 40% of deposits. Cash reserves are close to 40% of deposit. What does this do? It takes money that the banking sector should loan to their customers away from them to help them propel growth, and it gives it to the central bank at 0 rate, which means that it also impairs the ability of the banking sector to build capital from internally generated profits. Why is our central bank doing this? Our central bank, if you look at the balance sheet of the central bank, where is the growth in assets? Where is the growth in liabilities? We'll see that the growth is coming from cash reserves. So they're taking cash reserves from the banks, growing their liabilities. They are on the line where there is asset growth, they're giving overdraft to the central bank of Nigeria, to the federal government of Nigeria. So essentially, in substance, one can conclude that they're taking money from the banks at 0 rate and they are lending it to the federal government of Nigeria. At what rate are they lending it to the federal government of Nigeria? The law says that they will lend it to the federal government of Nigeria at MPR -2. So they're lending the money to the federal government of Nigeria at 9.5%, and they are taking it from the banks and paying them 0%. So we look at the loan growth. Loan growth we'll see as tepid, and impact on growth and employment is not going to be significant. Another thing that I'd like to highlight here is that the capital buffers of the banking industry in Nigeria is thinning, and is getting into, in our opinion, dangerous levels. If you look at 2016, for every 100 Naira of asset that the banking industry had, it had 14 Naira of capital. By 2020, for every 100 Naira of asset that the banking industry had, it had only 10 Naira of capital. Let's compare with Ghana. Ghana had 14% in 2016, in 2020, 15%. Let's compare with Kenya. Kenya had 16% in 2016, and over the 5-year period, it's only come down 1 percentage point to 15%. So we can see that our capital buffers are thinning. Why are capital buffers thinning? The assets of the banking industry, the assets are growing, but the banking industry is struggling to grow capital from internally generated profits. And if you ask them to go out and raise more capital, how many people will invest in banks today, given the poor profitability of the banking industry? So, in summary now, what we can see that negative regulation is impairing the growth and development of our country. The negative real interest rates that we have is impairing the ability of banks to mobilize deposits for savers. It fuels speculative demand in foreign currency. Because if I have a lot of Naira and the banks are only going to give me 3-5% return on my money for 1 year, nobody needs to train me to that I should go and buy dollars and I sit on it. Over the past 6 months alone, there has been maybe a 20% depreciation. So if I had gone into dollars 6 months ago and come back now, I would have made a 20% return in Naira terms. Most importantly, it also erodes the value of our pension assets if this stays for some considerable period, okay? Because our pension assets are largely monetary assets. And if they're going to earn less than inflation in terms of return, the purchasing power of our pensioners will be eroded over time. So the above normal cash reserves impairs the ability of banks to grow loans to customers. Both policies also impair the ability of banks to grow capital from internally generated profits. Say banking industry leverage is rising. The CBN needs to review this. Clearly, they review its interest rate management policy and bring the cash reserve down to normal levels, or pay interest on the cash reserves. But that's still not good enough because it still deprives the businesses in the real sector loans in order to grow their businesses. So let's look at government now. The finances of government are weak. They need to be fixed. And you can say that that is the problem of the government. No, it is everybody's problem. Because if the financial condition of the federal government is weak, if they are strapped for money, they will harass all of us for money, by hook or by crook. So we need to find a way of fixing the finances of the federal government. It's perhaps one of the biggest challenges that we have as a nation. Tax revenue is very low, as we all know. Then the obligatory spending of government, the contractual spending of government, without spending on fulfilling the purpose of government, the interest on loans, the salaries and wages of their workers, the statutory transfers that they are obliged to make by law to other arms of government. They're consuming almost 2 times of government revenue. So where will there be money to support the development of infrastructure, to help the poor and weak in society, and to support the development of key industries? Where will the money come from? So the government has been borrowing, but to what extent can you leverage? Let's look at what has been happening in terms of debt. What has been happening in terms of debt is that the government has been growing its naira debts. They have not been borrowing from the financial system. The bulk of the borrowing has been coming from overdrafts given to them by the central bank. The overdrafts given to them by the central bank has grown from 2.5 trillion in 2015 to 16 trillion, almost 16 trillion in 2020. Those are actual figures from the central bank balance sheet, actually, not estimates. So the overdraft from the central bank is growing. And by the time we look at the aggregate debt of the federal government, it was just under 30 trillion last year. So if you put even inflation rate, 15% interest on that, it's 4.5 trillion of interest. That is more than the revenue of government. So what are we talking about? We need to fix the finances of government so that the government can have free cash flow to fulfill the purpose of government. And if we put this into context and look at it relative to other countries, Ghana, 198%, Kenya, 200%. The median in terms of debt to revenue ratio for countries in sub-Saharan Africa is 200%. Nigeria is at almost 900%. And people will argue that we are not over-leveraged. Of course we are over-leveraged, particularly in local currency terms. In foreign currency terms, we can argue that we're not over-leveraged. So what do we need? We need reforms, reforms, reforms. And these are the policy changes that we need in order to be able to improve things. We need to raise tax revenues. But people are saying that we're not going to put additional taxes on the table, even though it is wrong not to comply with tax laws. But government needs to improve compliance, and they're going to continue to struggle to improve compliance unless they do the other side of things as well. We need to ensure transparency, accountability, and value for money on how we spend government tax revenues. We need to reduce debt. This level of leverage is not sustainable, and it's going to create significant problems for this government, the next government, and next government if we don't fix it. And the principal way that we see that we can fix it is through asset sale. We need to reduce the local currency debt significantly. We need to refocus government spending, because today government spending, the bulk of government spending is not towards fulfilling the purpose of government. And there is no, that is the clear reason why we are not seeing significant impact. So we need to spend on physical infrastructure, particularly rail and electricity. We need to spend on human infrastructure to help our people acquire skills that are valuable and marketable that industries require. We need to do more social spending targeted towards the poor and weak in our society. Otherwise, security situation is not going to improve. We need to grow target industries. Which are the examples of industries that we need to grow? Rail, electricity, ICT, education, food production, healthcare are examples of industries that we need to grow. Then let's look back before we also look forward here. Are households thriving in Nigeria? How do we measure whether households are thriving or not? The first measure that we'll also always seek is output growing faster than population? For example, are we growing yams faster than the rate at which we grow the population that will go to eat the yam? Because if we're growing population faster than the number of people who are going to eat yam, then there'll be shortage of yam. Are wages rising faster than inflation? That is the purchasing power of the average worker rising or falling? Are people who are willing and able to work get jobs commensurate with their skills? Income. Is income distribution fair? Or are you using the tax to redistribute income as well? So these are the charts from government, official figures of government. In each of the past 6 years, the number of people who want to eat yam is growing faster than the rate at which we are growing yam. Therefore, on average, we're getting poorer. That's the next chart. The real output per person in Nigeria in 2020 was 343,000 naira, lower than what it was in 2011. Unemployment is rising. I don't really like to look at unemployment rate. I look at the numbers. As at half year last year, Office of Statistics said 22 million Nigerians were unemployed, willing and able to work. Put into context again, the population of Burkina Faso, 22 million. The whole population of Burkina Faso is roaming our streets. They don't have money to buy food, to do anything. And we're saying that our environment will be secure when there's no social safety net for them. Real wages falling. In 2020, our workers earned 71% of what they earned in 2014 on average, using the key companies. This is the average for the top companies in Nigeria. What are the lessons that we ought to have learned, given the experience of the past few years? We ought to have seen very clearly that there is no way we can peg Naira to the dollar successfully when there's such a large gap between inflation of the two currencies. We're saying that one currency loses purchasing power at the rate of 10% more than the other, and we're saying their exchange rate should be the same. It's not economics, it's arithmetic. The rate at which the federal government borrows Naira is an important benchmark. It should not be substantially below the rate of inflation, because this discourages savings, it gradually erodes or destroys pension assets, and it fuels speculative demand for foreign exchange. Above normal cash reserves impair the ability of banks to lend to businesses and households. It also impairs the ability of banks to build capital from internally generated profits. Over time, this increases banking industry leverage to dangerous levels. There is urgent need to fix the finances of the FGN. Our local currency debt levels are clearly unsustainable. The level of overdraft from the central bank is significantly higher than normal, and the bulk of government spending is to pay expenses. Government is just paying expenses and not to the growth promoting areas of the economy. The root cause of inflation in Nigeria is that output of the nation is significantly lower than potential output. Imagine if we had these 22 million people who are willing and able to work to get gainful employment. What will they add to the output of Nigeria? The output of Nigeria will jump up significantly. So what are the policy changes that we need to reverse these negative trends? We need to manage our exchange rate using a crawling peg. We need to allow positive real interest rates. We need to start reducing cash reserve requirements, bring it down back to normal levels gradually over time. We need to call for more capital from some highly leveraged banks that we have in our environment. We need to improve tax compliance and dedicate the bulk of additional revenues towards improving these sectors of the economy. But we also want to show transparently how we're going to spend the tax revenues. A good way is something that the government has set up called Infraco. Maybe additional tax revenue should go to Infraco, who will account for this, who will direct the money to investment in a clear and transparent manner. We need to reduce local currency debts of the federal government of Nigeria by doing asset sale. These are the key policy changes that we see. Thank you very much. I believe we have time for questions. And if there are questions, and they can be typed into the chat box, and I'll try and address the questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olabode Augusto, for that rich and robust session, highlighting the various challenges of the Nigerian economy. And of course, not only doing that, but also giving us some of the solutions that can mitigate these challenges. Okay, so I think we have two questions. Do we have any questions in the chat room as of now? Okay, all right. Physically present here, I think we have questions from people that are here. Okay, please, can you kindly? Okay, all right. There's one question from Prince Enajoma.
Please go ahead, I'm listening.
Okay, thank you, dear erudite speaker and professional colleagues of repute. Why I recognize Madam President and every other person. Just a few questions I want to talk about. Your paper is quite stimulating, reawakening the subconsciousness of the managers of our economy. You have, among all that you have stated, is the issue of how to fix our country and fix our exchange rate. How do we fix the finance of the federal government? In bringing that to our own knowledge, you mentioned issue bordering on raising tax, improvement on enforcement, how to reduce debt, and of course, increase accountability. But in practical terms, it will interest us beyond all of this, how do we actually feed the finances of the federal government? If you talk about raising taxes, are you not going to kill the people who are already impoverished? How do we fix Nigeria finances? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How do we fix the finances of government? I believe that the goal should be towards ensuring that the government spends more money on the purpose of government. Because I do not believe that it is the purpose of government to go and be borrowing money and be paying interest. Neither do I think it's the purpose of government to employ people. Government is not responsible for employment. It's businesses that should be employing people, in my opinion. So let me just quickly correct one point. I am not advocating for increasing taxes. I'm advocating for improving tax compliance. Let the rate remain the same, but people should pay what they're supposed to pay. And I used to tell people that if they don't buy shares in GT Bank, nobody's going to send a dividend warrant to them, that they should pay their taxes first. But they're not listening to me. And I have sort of retracted, that it should be a two-way street, all right? People should pay the right taxes, but also government should show us clearly where they're going to put the money and they're going to account for it in a clear, transparent manner. Therefore, I'm an advocate of an infrastructure fund that will be managed by private sector people, or not essentially people who are independent of government and who are going to ensure that the monies are managed judiciously, that they prepare annual report and accounts that will be audited by independent accountants, there'll be clear, transparent bidding process for the contracts they're going to dedicate the money to spending in specific areas. I think maybe that can work and improve things, in my opinion. So, because we need to promote growth in the economy, growth, employment, development, and the growth that we're going to propel hopefully will, not hopefully, surely will increase the tax revenues of government. But also there are a number of assets that government has today that they are not managing properly, that they're not the best people to manage them. They are valuable, they are marketable. Why not sell them to private sector people that can manage them better and then use the money to reduce the amount that you are owing? Once you reduce the amount that you are owing, the amount of interest of almost 4 trillion you are paying will go down significantly, and you have free cash flow to direct more towards infrastructure spending. That's the principle that I would advocate.
Thank you so much, sir, for your response. We also have some other questions here. One, okay.
Please
First
go
question
ahead.
from the chat room. Mr. Chukuma Kachi is asking you, sir, that you mentioned 2 things that the government should do to help poor households thrive.
That I should mention 2 things.
2 things that the government should do to help poor households thrive.
Okay, I will mention 2 things. Go ahead with the other one so I can take 2 or 3 at the same time.
Okay, sir. Okay. This question says, why are you not recommending that government should borrow from the capital market? What do you foresee as the pros and cons of doing so?
Okay. Okay. What else? Any other one?
Okay, sir. There's a 3rd question. Mrs. Irene Huba is asking that you should please throw more light on the crawling peg system, which you say Ghana is using successfully.
Okay, fine. Okay, let's go with the first one.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
From Mr. Chukuma Kechi. 2 things that government should do to help households thrive. There are 2 things that I will do. I will give them money and I will give them skills. Skills that are valuable and marketable. When I say I will give them money, I'm not going to start distributing money all over the place, like we're doing with the fuel subsidy, giving money to people who are already rich. Okay? For example, what I'm doing, spending 1 trillion or plus that I'm spending on fuel subsidy, I will take it back and I will direct it towards specific poor households. We'll take statistics, we'll document things properly, and we'll direct money into the hands of the people so that they can buy. Because if they have money that they can use to buy goods and services produced, then there'll be improved demand. The second thing that I will do is skills acquisition. Carpenters, bricklayers, and things like that. We will train them, we'll certify them, because those basic skills are missing in our environment, electricians and things like that. And then we'll arm them with a little capital to buy tools and begin to thrive. Those are the 2 things that I will do, money and skills. Then why are we not recommending borrowing from the capital markets? Yeah. Why should I be recommending additional borrowing to somebody whose interest cost is more than his revenue? Do I want to kill that person? No. So I will not recommend additional borrowing, really and truly, because there is no capacity to service it. Then the crawling peg, I should explain it a little bit more. What we have said here is that the long-term rate of inflation of the Naira is 12%. The long-term rate of inflation of the Nigerian Naira is 12%, that of the dollar is 2%. The difference is 10%. So what we would do as a central bank is that we would allow the markets to operate freely. And we will hope that the exchange rate will settle around that 530 that we're talking about. We'll have one uniform market because the parallel market premium will not be significantly higher than the official market. And every single year, what are we going to do? We're going to look at the direction of Naira inflation and the direction of dollar inflation and just allow the currency to devalue by close to that difference in exchange rate. That's the way it will work. So if we start from 500, by the end of the year, 10% will be at 550. And gradual depreciation. People can plan, and if we're able to better manage our exchange, our inflation and open up the economy, like we did in some years when we had 8% inflation, that means that that year depreciation will only be 6%. So we begin to manage our inflation down, because it will also send a good signal to non-oil exporters. It will also penalize people who are hell-bent on importing their raw materials, because the only way to send a right signal to them is to make it prohibitively expensive for them. That's my own view. Not that to make it cheap and say that we want to reduce their dependence on imports. No, the incentive structure must be such that it will discourage you, should penalize you. Yeah. So do we have other questions, please?
Thank you so much, Mr. Olabode Augusto, for your time. And we are so grateful that you have provided practical solutions to some of our challenges that we face in the Nigerian economy. I want to apologize to attendees that we are not able to take more questions at this time. So please, if you still have any other questions, you may type it in and we'll try as much as possible to get you answers to them later.
What you can do really is that, excuse me, please. What you can do really is that if there are other questions that you send it to me, you send it to me by email. I provide answers and you can circulate to everybody.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. We are grateful for that. So it is exciting to know actually that despite the dire outlook of the Nigerian economy, there are still things that we can do. And I know that for all of us here in our various peers, we can only continue to identify those things that we can do to make Nigeria great again, economy-wise. Thank you so much, Star, for your time. We are so grateful. Please let's give Mr. Augusto a round of applause. Thank you. Next on our agenda, today's event is the oath by inductees. It's time for our inductees to pledge to us that they will continue to uphold the High-Holding Nigeria brand, that they will continue to contribute to the growth and development of the Institute and the nation as a whole and their various organizations. In a nutshell, they are going to pledge that they will continue to be good ambassadors of High-Holding Nigeria, conduct-wise, capacity-wise, as well as contribution-wise. To handle this session, I have the honor of calling on the first Vice President of High-Holding Nigeria. VP, sir. You're welcome. Thank you.
Madam President, members of the Governing Council, fellows, members of the Executive Committee, fellows to be, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We are now at the stage where we have to take the pledge and affirmation. So may I ask all the gentlemen and ladies who have been inducted today to take the pledge which has been circulated to them, and it's also on page 46 of the brochure. I believe it has been sent to you electronically. I want each and every member that is going to take this pledge, get the copy out and ready to repeat after me. It is on page 46 of the brochure, and I believe that has been sent to you electronically. So what we do, you repeat after me. Are we ready to go?
Yes.
Are we ready to go?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right. If I say I, then you mention your name, all right? And then from there, we'll go. 1, 2, 3, go. I hereby affirm and pledge that
Pledge that
I'm a fit and proper person to enter into the office of the Fellows and will faithfully execute the office of a Fellow of the Institute of Directors, Nigeria.
And we faithfully execute the office of
I shall strive always for the highest ethical standards, professionalism,
I shall strive always
the highest ethical standards, professionalism, and good corporate governance.
paragraph first before you after me. So we'll repeat that one, please. Listen. I shall strive always for the highest ethical standards, professionalism, and good corporate governance in business and private endeavors.
I shall strive always for the highest ethical standards, professionalism, and good corporate governance in
Private endeavor.
I have received a copy of the IOD Code of Ethics. Members of the
copy of the
I have received a copy of the
Code of Ethics for members of the Institute.
I have read and understand its contents and agree to adhere to the principles and policies outlined in the code.
I have read
and understand its content and agree to adhere to the principles and
outlined in the code.
I have also read and understand the IOD conflict of interest policy and its contents.
I have also read and understand the IOD interest policy
and its content.
I agree to comply with its provisions and recuse myself from deliberations and voting contracts, transactions, activities or arrangements and acts whatsoever that could give rise to conflict of interest.
I agree to comply with its provisions and recuse myself from deliberations and voting contracts, activities or arrangements and acts whatsoever that could give rise to a conflict of interest.
I will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the rules, regulations, and policy directions of the Institute of Directors, Nigeria.
I will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the rules, regulations, and policy directions of
Nigeria.
So help me God.
So help me God.
So you sign your name, your signature, and date, and it's going to be witnessed by Director General. It's dated today. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let us press and see whether we can join the video. This time the video. It's not for you, it's only for Mike.
Thank you so much. The first Vice President of FIOD Nigeria, Alhaji Tijani and Borodo FIOD. And congratulations once again to our inductees. So it's important that we know those of you attending this event physically, those of you that are present at this event. And so we'll be taking the roll call as the next item on the agenda. To coordinate this session, I have the honor of calling on the DG CEO of FIOD Nigeria, Mr. Bamidele Halimi, MIOD. DG, sir. To you, sir.
Madam President, office bearers of the Institute, past president, council members, fellows and members of the Institute, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to take the roll call of the 32 new fellows of the Institute before the final conferment. And I would appreciate if the prospective fellow could respond when I announce their names. So kindly unmute everybody so that we can hear them and ensure that they are actually present with us here. Kindly unmute everybody. Olakunle Adeojo. Olakunle Adeojo. Is Mr. Adeojo here? I saw him there a few minutes ago. Olakunle Adeojo, please unmute and respond. If you are here. Okay. Ms. Nosa Afe.
Present.
Thank you. Elizabeth O. Agu.
Present.
Akintola O. Ajayi. Akintola O. Ajayi. Fauzat A. Bello. Fauzat A. Bello.
Yeah.
Fauzat A. Bello. Kindly note that if I can't confirm that you are here, the confinement to you will have to be deferred.
Wow.
Fauzat A. Bello. Abubakar A. Bello.
Present.
Thank you very much. Aliyu A. Diko.
Present.
Thank you. Obina R. Ekwonwa.
Present.
Thank you. Ibrahim Azan.
Present, sir.
Thank you. Jani Ibrahim.
Present.
Laoye Yayola.
Present, DG.
Thank you, sir. Ayodele Jayesimi.
Present.
Thank you. Chukuma Kachi.
Sir, present.
Thank you. Mansour A. Krufi.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Oluwagbemiga Kuye.
Present.
Thank you. Stainie Lulu Briggs.
Yes, I'm present.
Thank you. Barizagi A. Note. Thank you. Sunday N. Uwosu. Sunday N. Uwosu. I know he's there. I'm staring at his name there.
He's not there.
Please unmute. Sunday N. Uwosu. Okay, let's move on. Olashade O. Ogunaike.
Present, please.
Michael Chidi Ojiako. Michael Chidi Ojiako. Enase Okunedo.
Present.
Thank you. Chidi Okoro.
Present.
Oluseyi O. Olanrewaju. Oluseyi Olanrewaju. Olusegun Ologunleko.
Present.
Michael Olumoko.
I am present and I'm also proud to be a fellow of the Institute of Director Nigeria. And I'll do my best, with the
Kolawole
committee.
Owoka. Kolawole Owoka. Adekunle E. Oyinloye.
Present, sir.
Thank you. Ronke Shokefun.
Present.
Thank you. Dairu Usman.
Present.
Thank you. If you are here and you've not heard your name, can you please signify, please?
Yes, I have not heard my name.
What's the name, please?
My name is Sunday. Sir Sonny Wosu.
I called you many times, sir. You didn't respond.
You are welcome. I've not heard my name, sir.
Jaye. How are you, Jaye?
Is there any other person whose name has not been mentioned and is here?
Yes, Tony Fadaka.
Hello.
Sorry, very funny. I jumped your name. Anthony E. Fadaka. Thank you very much.
Present, sir.
Apologies for that.
Yes, Kule Ojo is back. Your sins are forgiven.
Olakule Adeojo.
I was having internet connection problem, so I guess.
Okay, you are here now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have any other person who has not heard his or her name and is here?
You didn't mention our name, Ebenezer Ogunbiyi.
Oh, apologies for that. Mr. Ebenezer Ogunbiyi, your name is here. Apologies for that. Ebenezer Ogunbiyi, thank you very much.
Architect Ebenezer Olubenga Ogunbiyi.
Noted, sir. Thank you. Kolawole Owoka.
You didn't acknowledge my name. Hello.
What's your name, sir?
Akin Ajayi.
I did call you, sir.
Yes.
I called you very early. You are number 4 on my list. Akitola O. Ajayi.
Yes.
That is noted now, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Madam President, everybody is accounted for. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DG. And for our honorees for also diligently sticking to our processes. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure and distinct honor to confer on the listed members, on all these members that the DG has called out, the fellowship of the Institute and declare them Fellows of the Institute of Directors, Nigeria. Let's clap for them. Thank you very much. We are actually very, very pleased to have you on board. Welcome on board. It is the expectation of your institute that you will all uphold the professional standing, honor, and dignity of the institute at all times by example and precept, and most importantly, work diligently and faithfully for the advancement and furtherance of the Institute's vision and objectives. As this is a hybrid event, it's my distinct pleasure again to present the certificate as a token to represent all of you online to one of you who is present with us today, Mr. Notte, our branch, our chairman of the Port Harcourt zone. You're welcome. So on behalf Council of the Institute of Directors of Nigeria, I present to you today Mr. Barizade A. Notte, the Fellowship of the Institute. And like I said before, we believe that you will uphold a vision in all respects. Congratulations. Well done. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam President, for conferring the fellow status on our new inductees. And I want to say a big congratulations to our new fellows. Like she said, I know you all continue to contribute to the growth and development of IOD Nigeria, and that we can only continue to keep the flag of IOD Nigeria flying high. Congratulations once again. And on behalf of the new fellows, I have the honor of calling on Professor Enasode Okonedo to respond on behalf of all the new fellows. Professor Enasode Okonedo, FIOD.
Thank you very much. It's Enase Okonedo, the President and Chairman of Council of the Institute of Directors of Nigeria, past presidents, executive committee members, the Chairman of the Fellows and Awards Committee, the Director General of the Institute of Directors, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I stand here on behalf of all the fellows that have just been confirmed with the fellowship to say a big thank you to the Institute for this honor that has been bestowed on us. Much as we receive it with great delight at being admitted into this cadre of top professionals that play both in the private and public sector, we also understand that it confers on us more than the title, but also the responsibility. And we have been reminded several times in the course of the ceremony of that responsibility. Indeed, the vice president of the Institute, when we were reciting the pledge, I think it was for added emphasis that he made us go over the second sentence, which is to strive always for the highest ethical standards, professionalism, and good corporate governance in all our endeavors. And on behalf of all the fellows here today, we recognize what it is that has been conferred upon us, and we commit to upholding these practices and also to furthering the mission of the Institute by our actions. I think that all of us here are very proud to have received this conferment today, and we will do our utmost best to contribute to the growth and development of not only in the Institute, but of our respective organizations and indeed to the nation. So on behalf of all of us, I say a very big thank you to all the members of the Institute, past and present, the executives, the past presidents, the current presidents, and everyone who has made this possible today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Enate, for those beautiful words. And we believe that every new fellow has heard that, and they are going to actually keep to what that you have said and the pledge that you have made today. Thank you so much. Madam President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are gradually coming to the end of this event. Before the DG CEO of IOD Nigeria will take the vote of thanks, we would like to play a short video advert from Platinum sponsors. Can we have that, please?
For over 6 decades, Bank of Industry has been here, driving Nigeria's industrial development through financial and business support services to micro enterprises, small and medium enterprises, and large enterprises across Nigeria. Leveraging on strategic partnerships, we provide equipment financing, working capital, and support to enterprises in key sectors of Nigeria's economy, including youth and women-led enterprises. Whatever your business needs, starting up, expansion, diversification, modernization, or rehabilitation, we'll be here always to support you. Bank of Industry, transforming Nigeria's industrial sector.
Monipula Limited is a Nigerian independent and wholly indigenous exploration and production company founded in 1992 by High Chief Dr. O.B. Lulu Briggs, OON, DSSRS, DCF. Monipula's mission is to become a beacon of hope to succeeding generations of indigenous industries through continuously creating value for its stakeholders. With the core values of excellence, integrity, team spirit, and social responsibility, Monipula upholds an uncompromising stance on being in full compliance with standards of global industry, regulatory, and fiscal authorities. On March 7, 1999, after years of exploration and appraisal, Monipula struck first oil, thus signaling to the exploration and production industry at large that the company was truly open for business and ready to be a contender in the industry. Since then, growth has come the company's way. From operating its then sole asset, OML 114, it has since acquired 3 more assets, OPL 231, OPL 234, and OPL 239. In 2018, it's completed the drilling of 3 exploratory wells in OPL 231. Monipolo's portfolio of assets include producing fields, development, and exploration prospects located in both offshore and onshore Nigeria, which enhance production, cash flow, and reserve replacement potential. Although one of Nigeria's privately owned indigenous oil and gas E&P companies, Monipolo adheres strictly to the best global standards of operation, with benchmarks similar to those obtainable in the IOCs. Inspired by the renowned philanthropy of its founder, High Chief Dr. O.B. Lulubriggs, the thrust of Monipolo's corporate social responsibility efforts is on creating shared value for its host communities. Monipolo partners its host communities in participatory development, working with them and where appropriate with their state government and other stakeholders in identifying, planning, costing, monitoring, and implementing sustainable development projects that improves their lives and promotes the socio-economic development of their people through educational development, health and social welfare, skill acquisition, economic empowerment, sustainable development projects, and microcredit schemes. In 2005, Dr. Mrs. Seinye Obi Lulubriggs became the company's executive vice chairman. Following the passing of her husband, the founder and chairman of Monipolo Petroleum Development Limited, High Chief Dr. O.B. Lulubriggs, she assumed the position of chairman of the company in 2019 and has continued to steer its growth and success. Monipolo's vision is to serve as a reference for excellence in the oil and gas industry. This vision remains its compass, steering the company consistently towards attaining heights of excellence in its operations in line with global best practices.
Madam President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to say a very big thank you to everyone for honoring us with your presence at this very historic event. To bring this event to a close, I'm going to call on the DG CEO of IOD Nigeria, Mr. Bamidele Alimi MIOD, who is going to give the vote of thanks and also wind down this event. Thank you once again, and congratulations to the new fellows of IOD Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shei. And let me say on behalf of the President and Chairman of the Governing Council, Dr. Eje Jidema, and of course, the Chairman and members of the Fellows and Awards Committee, I want to say a very big thank you to our sponsors, the 3 platinum sponsors that we have here, Toyota Nigeria Limited, Bank of Industry, and Monopolio. We thank you very much for the support we have received that made this event a success. And just before I go on, I want to also invite the new fellows to the Annual Directors Conference, the flagship event of the Institute. This year's edition is going to hold over a 2-day period from 23rd to the 24th of November, 2021 at Transcorp Hilton in Abuja. The keynote address is going to be delivered by Mr. Tony Elumelu, CON, and the chairman of the event of the conference is Alhaji Abdul Samad Rabiu, a fellow of the Institute. I want you to show your face physically for the first physical event we'll be having after your fellowship conferment. Please mark it in your diary. It will be great to see you. This is an opportunity for the fellows class of 2021 to take a group picture together during the event. I look forward to receiving all the 32 of you who are here in Abuja on November 23rd. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, of course, you can register by going to our website and just click and register online. It's made very, very simple. Madam President, I also want to thank you for the support we have received to make this program a success and for your presence here today. And of course, to the chairman and members of the Fellows and Award Committee, the committee is ably led by our past president, a distinguished fellow of the Institute, Architect Thomas Awago. We say a very big thank you to the hard work that has gone into the selection process of ensuring we have our best getting the fellowship this year. And to the office bearers, starting with the first vice president who took the oath, we say thank you very much for coming. The second vice president is online. I've seen him online. Thank you very much. To our past president who are online, and to our revered elder, Dr. Christopher Kolade, we thank you very, very much for being with us. And of course, the immediate past president is also here physically with us, Chief Chris Olufunlola Okunowo, distinguished fellow of the Institute. Thank you very much for coming. And for our honorary treasurer, I'm sure if I didn't call him Councillor of Exchequer of the Institute, he will get angry with me today because that's my name for him. Thank you very much for the support. And to the staff, management and staff of the Secretariat, I thank you very much for the support and the hard work that has culminated in this success. And Sheyi, our compere extraordinaire, thank you very much. I called you at the last minute and you did a very wonderful job. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much, our new fellows, and for all participants who left everything to be with us today, thank you very much. I would like to invite you to please rise and let's take the national anthem. Madam President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me and give another round of applause to our guest speaker at today's event, Mr. Bode Agosto. Thank you very much for giving us a wonderful speech all the way from outside the country. We say a very big thank you, and we appreciate your presence with us. Thank you very much. Have a nice and wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen.